Very good evening. Still connecting.
Yeah.
Good evening, Dipali.
Hi, Vipali. Good evening. So Vipali is in Mumbai as of now, or you are in Mumbai? Okay, okay, great. And Shruti is joining us from
Surat.
Surat. Okay, okay. So everybody is in different directions.
Yeah.
Great. I think only Matthew has not joined yet. Otherwise, we have all the speakers here. Okay. Ishita, please check if Matthew has joined, or maybe we can email him. In fact, I see Elias here. Elias, if you can help us get Matthew, they are friends. So I think Elias can help us get Matthew on time. Yeah. I think we have participants, main participants are all here. Let's start. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I welcome you all to this webinar series, which we are starting with SERI, which is Sustainable Electronics Recycling International, SERI. And this is in collaboration with ICCE. And our objective of this series is to bring together stakeholders from diverse sectors to discuss the importance of responsible recycling and explore innovative approaches and promote best practices in managing WEEE effectively, which is waste from electronics and electrical equipment. Now, today we are talking about responsible recycling, R2 standards, and its importance. The session we will be organizing these sessions. We will have a series which will have 4 to 5 webinars coming up. These sessions will be arranged after 3 to 4 weeks, after every 3 to 4 weeks, and we will be having key stakeholders present in these webinars. And we are trying to take the perspective from different geographies here. As in today's webinar also, you can see we have speakers from, Global South. From India, we have people joining us from SERI. Then we have somebody joining us from Jakarta and from Sudan as well. Now, the next sessions which will be coming up in this series will talk about Right to Repair Act. There will be a topic on standards on data sanitization for ITAD. There will be a discussion on global best practices and responsible recycling standards and sustainability in electronics life cycle ecosystem. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite the first speaker of our discussion today. He is Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee. As many of you would know Dr. Sandeep already, he has been with MITI, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. He was the group coordinator there. Now he has recently joined SERI and he is acting as the senior advisor at SERI. And he is a leading global policymaker and experienced techno administrator with 35 years of experience in translating research outcomes into commercial viability and disruptive policy making. As head of materials photonics, materials and photonics demonstrated through leadership in bridging the gap between R&D outcomes and needs of emerging businesses and local industries. He has formulated India's strategy for R&D in materials, photonics, IoT sensors, additive manufacturing, and its successful commercialization. Besides, also, he headed the Cyber Law and Data Governance Group and formulated DPD. So today, Dr. Sandeep will be talking about R2, its benefits of R2 certification.
Thank you.
Yeah, over to you, sir. Thank you, sir, for being here, and thank you for guiding us through all this. And this is because of you that we are happy, going through these webinars, and it's your guidance. Thank you, sir, for being here today.
Thank you. My screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Surbi. It is really my pleasure to use this platform and Seri to discuss one of the important topics. As you all see that the global economic development for last few decades is heavily dependent on digital technology. And digital technology is only possible that high-end electronics are used, and especially the ICT electronics where data is the one central stage. So once you are doing this type of connected world where the data is transferred from one device to the other in another geography, so it is very difficult when you are talking about the sustainability and when you will be talking about the longer life of the product. And if that is being discussed, then how the data sanitation should be taken care of. What is the global best practices? We'll be discussing this. As you all see now, electronics is embraced in each and every sector, from starting from agriculture, you see transport and medical electronics, medical field, or communication. You name any sector where electronics are coming, and all the disruptive technology like IoT sensors and artificial intelligence also making the innovative more functional thing, which will be giving you more effective way of handling different sector and give the best output. So in that way, it is obvious that end of life electronics will be growing very fast, and we are seeing that. And it will be obsolete electronics. This is a real challenge because of the materials and the environment both. But what if you see our lifestyle is not yet changed? We still believe in linear economy, like take, make, use, dispose. That is our role, and that is how the electronics is getting generated in a significant amount. You must have seen that after Basel Convention, many signatory countries have come out with e-waste management rule. But if you are really interested to manage the e-waste when it has been generated, this is not going to help us. So it doesn't solve the problem at all. So what should be the approach? Circular economy, like sustainable electronics. So where the design stage, we should decide what type of material should be used, how the design should be framed so that the recyclability and refurbishability is easy, and what are the component and other items should be kept so the longer life of the product can be promoted. Now, there are many forms of electronics in the world. There are sometimes returns, repairs, trade-ins, upgrade, remarketing, and also recycling. When electronics are being developed, these are the form of different business cases. Maybe in other part of the world, including India, they are happening, but it is in informal domain. So that is sometimes deadly due to the data or environmental sustainability. Now, what are the best practices around this space, like refurbishment and recycling? So collection, storage stage, you should see the harmful chemicals are not going into the soil, water bodies, and they should not harm the health. And also the data security and privacy, I'm stressing many times, like there are some standard rule like R2, responsible recycling, is towards, and more stringent way if you are taking care of defense electronics. So NIST and other things are also important in USA and some of the developed country. So those things are also new to in our world. The repair and testing standards also should be such that the consumer should get the same pleasure of using those refurbished electronics. So the quality parts, industrial standard during the process has to be maintained. Firmware or software should be original. So those things are also really gray in some of the part of the world. So supply chain transparency, this is also not there. So many components parts are cannibalized from other product, different version, trying to fix it in this thing. So informal world is working in this fashion. So collaboration of the manufacturers, the repairing center should have a collaboration so that original parts and all the design and tools should be available for doing the best work. And another important things I have seen in internationally it is coming out. If the OEM are not providing the parts, so there are technology through 3D printing. Can you develop that component and replace it so that AI mechanism, artificial intelligence can take care of the quality part of the product, so that you can just replace the refurbished product as a new one. So these are some of the user friendly approach. People have started doing it. Environmental sustainability, if you are doing refurbishment or the recycling, you should see that how the materials can be used optimally and the energy efficiently, and the standards should be followed entire process. Proper disassembly is also important thing. So if you are not knowing the skill set is not there, so you are not ensuring the resource efficiency for taking out the different disassembled part and what are the toxic part, how it would be kept. So entire thing require a very good skill set. Now the materials recovery also, you require a best available technology so that the all elements or materials used in the electronics, as you all know that smartphone uses almost 69 elements of the periodic table. All those elements cannot be recovered because technology is also issue. But many of the precious metal or rare earth can be extracted in the best available technology. We should use them. The hazardous component also you require a disposal and different type of technique. There are many standards are used entirely in the recycling or refurbishment place, like ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 45001. All those things are actually prerequisite condition for getting R2 also. Apart from that, there are ROHS and WEEE, the European Union, rules regulation. So they should also be followed in the entire space of refurbishment and recycling. And global certifications are available like R2, East Towards, TCO. So that will be actually allowing you to have a best environment sensitive process and occupational health and safety and environmental management system. So these are all global standards, the standardization process, certification program, EUS disposal, and EPR. That is also one of the important effective tool. In our country also it is there, the extended producer responsibility. So manufacturers are empowered to take care of their disposal part also through certain agency like recycler and refurbisher. So what are the standard available? Now I'll be going to the next domain of standard. Internationally, there are 4 standards on end of life management are famous. CENELAC is a European Union standard. R2 is the started from USA, East Towards and R2, and then the standard Australia. These are the 4 standards are famous in the world. Now, if you see the popularity wise, R2 is the most popular standard. It has been accepted by 42 countries now, and there are 1,218 facilities have adopted this R2. And if you see the CENELAC or the WEEE, these are 16 European Union members have taken it, and 192 certified operators has been taken this. East Towards started from USA. Now 4 countries have adopted it. 111 facilities have taken it. And if you see the Australia, New Zealand one, that is the standard Australia, that is Australia and New Zealand, 2 countries have adopted. 47 facility are taken this standard. There are many other standards and they are famous for some of the parts of the thing. If you see RIOS, ISO, all those things. But if you see R2, they have taken the best practices of all those standards in one, in R2 standard. So now I'll be giving some, what is SERI? SERI is, as you mentioned, Sustainable Electronics Recycling International is an NGO. non-profit organization. They are owning the R2 standard and they are developing different version of R2. Now the R2 third version is operational. And what is the mission of SERI? Promote resource preservation, well-being of the natural environment, health, safety of the worker, and communities. So this is the way we think that electronic products are reused and recycled without damaging the environment, health, and other things. So as I mentioned, this is the third version are operational. They started from 2005. Generally, it has been developed with the discussion with TAC, that is Technical Advisory Committee, composed of member from industry bodies and environment watchdog, all those guys, and material expert. So then public comment has been taken, then we adopt the standards. Now it is growing. As I mentioned, 1, 2, 1, 8 facilities have already taken. In India also, 50 plus unit has taken the R2 certificate. How it will be is different, as is more than management system. It is not just management system. So audit is more than a verification of the system and procedure. Great emphasis has been given to outcome and effectiveness. So auditor training includes that about R2 requirement, and also focuses on the audit trail to follow and how to evaluate the records and document that provided the facility during the audit. Now, if you see the R2, this is taking care of reuse and recycling entire space, the best practices, requirement of environment protection, data security, legal compliance, local and national legal regulation, health safety of the workers and their family and community. Now, who can, what actually this standard covers? Electronics that are in the information and communication technology, first use through end of life, and focus on effectiveness and outcome of that system and procedure. Now, the requirement pertains to the responsibility recycling, reused electronics that primarily in ICT equipment, and requirement of the applying beginning with the product and destroying the data, testing, remarketing device and component. Now, principle promote the sustainable practice through the hierarchy of the management strategy, environment protection, workers' health and safety. Now, who can take it? The collectors of the electronic waste, broker, traders, manual dismantler, material recovery processors, e-waste recycler and refurbishers. Collector, broker, and manual dismantler in our country is nowadays not allowed. So we start from the last 3 bullet, and R2 applies to many recyclers who are engaged in reuse, repair, and recycling. But one thing is important: you should be actually registered entity with that country. Like in our country, it should be registered through the CPCB portal. Now, any organization, they are in the business of reuse, repair, and recycling that are primarily ICT product is eligible to the certificate, and R2 facility can be collectors, dismantlers. These 2 categories are not allowed in our country. And also it could be a test and repair center, and all the other activity it covers. So 2 main part: core requirement, this will be applicable to all businesses, and process requirement, this will be applicable to based on your activity. And in process requirement, there are 7 different categories: downstream recycling, data sanitation, test repair, specialty electronics recovery, and materials recovery, and brokering. And very recently, 2024, we have added PV solar panel as well. Now, this is the core. In core, you have a scope, hierarchy, responsible management strategy, environment, health, safety management, legal and other requirement, tracking throughput, sorting, categorization, and the processing, data security, focus material. This is basically a hazardous material, facility requirement, transport. So these are all the core, requirement that will be allowed in any business. Now, based on your own activity, so all this appendix will be applicable. So like Appendix B is for data sanitation. Similarly, D will be the special electronics reuse, and Appendix G would be the photovoltaic and PV material. Now, if you see in nutshell, what R2 offering you, it is taking care of EHA, that is environment, health and safety management, reuse, recover, recycling, responsible management, legal requirement, on-site environment, health, safety, R2 focus material, that is hazardous material, reusable equipment and component, tracking throughput, data destruction, storage, security, insurance, closure, financial responsibility, transport, and record keeping. All those items, any entity or any company can take care if you are under R2 certification. So goal and objective: protect Mother Earth, protect workers, protect the citizen of India or other part where R2 has been taken care, and circular approach of the EU Waste and sustainable electronics. And R2 unique, it is unique because it is taking care of the workers' health, safety, quality control, environmental protection, data security, legal compliance, and sustainability and resource efficiency. Many standards that address different components of the responsible management standards and data protection, environment protection, and workers' health and safety. R2 standards incorporate all those best practices, as I mentioned. Now, and some of the help R2 this SERI websites are offering to all the outside world, that free to download and use the R2 standard, free knowledge-based videos and articles, podcast and guidelines, helpful tools, R2 auditors training open to facilities and consultant. Of course, there is a paid service, SERI support. So these are the things are available. Auditors training, this is also available. There are paid services. There are some subsidy program also. So these are the things can be approached. Now I'll be coming 2 more slides. What is the advantage of the manufacturers if you are endorsing the R2 vendors along with you, the recycler refurbishers? Basically, your end-to-end legal compliance, simplify your compliance process in national and international level, guaranteed the data sanitation. In our country also, DPDP Act is initiated. So this is a significant amount of financial penalty. So data security is an important priority in our country also. Full tracking throughout the recycling process, a clear commitment to the corporate and social responsibility, confidence to the consumer and investors, reduces the negative environment and health impact, promotes safer and more sustainable electronic device reuse and recovery, and makes electronic manufacturer more conscious about the product end of life. Actually, that is their responsibility also under EPR. Now, for recyclers, demonstrate compliance to the domestic and international law. Or you are assisting OEM to due diligence for the end of life electronics. Encourage public confidence through the third-party certification. Also ensure accountability and adherence to the highest industry standard, health, safety work of the workers, improve the competitiveness. So all those things I'm not reading out. It will be actually obtained if you are endorsing standard like R2, international standard, with your organization. Why it would be important? EUS rule, whatever the environmental safeguard, Ministry of Environment and Forest is ensuring entire things will be covered under the R2 certification. Quality of the EUS recycling under the rule management system, legal compliance, certification infrastructure of India, and good businesses. And so increase material recovery, because the 4 metals we are tracking as a EPR compliance. So that can be enhanced or documented, circular economy can be promoted, and environmental sound management. So the R2 certificate identify the environmental sound management practice in US rule, R2 certificate registered and recycler. Very recently, India, SERI has come out with accreditation body, NACB, National Accreditation Body of certifying body under QCI as a Indian partner. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. for taking us through all these slides and giving all details in such a detailed manner. You started right from the scratch so that everybody understands it well. Thank you. Thanks a lot for this presentation. Now I will move on to our next speaker, who is Deepali Sinha Khetriwal. She is the SERI India lead, and she will be talking about today the evolution of R2 standards and its specialty process requirements in R2v3 and the major challenges in its implementation.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Survi, to ICCE, for organizing this, and to the participants for joining today. If I may just request to put yourselves on mute, if you're not speaking, or there's a question, very happy, to take that.
Ishita, can you please check to turn this person on mute? Whosoever has their speaker on and talking, please check yourself. Before you go ahead, Deepali, I would like to introduce you to our audience. Because of this, I think the mic problem, I missed speaking
Not a
about that.
problem.
Yeah. Deepali has an extensive research and implementation experience in e-waste management in India and Europe. She has worked as an expert consultant on e-waste for international development projects as well as private sector companies. She was instrumental in setting up the capacity development activities of the STEP initiative, a UN-supported forum on the e-waste problem. She's a certified EMS auditor. And let me tell you that Deepali is owning a co-working space for e-waste management. She is providing a wonderful platform for the small recyclers, those who are looking for some facilities. So that's a great work that Deepali is doing other than all of her other things. So over to you, Deepali, now.
Thanks again, Survi, for that very effusive introduction. So I wanted to focus on, and build on what Dr. Chatterjee already, set up such a great platform. And he's already, of course, introduced R2 benefits and a lot of the other aspects about the R2. But I think, it's always interesting to know how it all started. And so I thought, it's really interesting to know a little bit about the evolution of these standards, how they've changed over time. What are the requirements? I think Dr. Chatterjee touched upon them already a little bit. So just to see how they're different and changing. And then, of course, also the challenges of, making sure that the standard stays relevant and it stays credible. So I just wanted to start with this cup of coffee. And, of course, everyone is thinking like, what has coffee got to do with electronic waste, right? So actually, the story goes like this, that the whole R2 standard discussion, the genesis of it was over a cup of coffee. This was way back in 2004, 2005, when, the very early discussions were starting to take place in the EU with the WE directive coming in, and, producers having to start to think about extended producer responsibility. And so the folks at Dell in the US, they, started to look at, what's really happening to their computers, to their servers, to their devices when they were reaching end of life. And, they of course, were very large, are still a very large player. So they had quite a lot happen of these devices going downstream. And they had these environmental partners, as they call them. And so they initiated a program with their environmental partners to just audit them a bit on like, okay, what's happening? How do they handle it? What are some of their EHS standards? But also going a little bit beyond the very traditional basic EHS standards to look at very critical aspects of data security, and also, the downstreaming of those fractions. And, there were all these pictures. Many of you might have seen them. They still continue. But they were starting to emerge back then, with Dell computers ending up in developing countries on landfills and things like that. So it was a pretty big problem in the future for them as they saw it. And they said, how can we reduce our risks? What are the kinds of audit parameters? How can we, make sure that this is a
It's not changing, Dipali.
Yes, yes, sir. I haven't changed anything. I'm just telling the story. So, yeah, it's really over this cup of coffee that Dell, and this was headed by Mike Watson, who is part of the R2 board. Um, they sat together, Mike and someone from the EPA, and they said, look, we're doing this. EPA saw what they were doing, they liked it. And they said, let's set up a stakeholder group, a voluntary industry initiative to really, get the standard going. And that's how the R2 standard came to be. So it's really coming from the industry wish. It's really coming from the need of the industry. And it's really voluntarily driven. It's not, been mandated, it's not been forced, it's not been uh, anywhere compulsory, but it's been adopted voluntarily, and it's been developed and kept going voluntarily. So this was how it started, and then of course through a lot of discussions and dialogue and meetings and kind of consultations, the very
Dipali,
first. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Your slide is not in the presentation mode.
It yes,
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
do you see this one now?
No, it is.
no, it is still in the just simple presentation, not the.
I
Yeah,
think
now,
I have to start from the entered screen.
yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, I'll let it be. If I put it in slideshow, it's probably not coming. So never mind.
Yeah, now it's good. Yeah.
Okay,
thank
so yeah, so this was how the standards were developed with these conversations, and the very first draft was written in 2007, and from there it was tested with a few facilities, and then of course improved, and then 2008 was when the very first version was released. And this is a very simple version. It was basically only the R2 standard. It did not have the other standards that are linked to it today. And it was, just focusing on the improper disposal. It just said, okay, where is your material going? We want to know how do you handle them? Are you sending it to landfill? Are you sending it to developing countries? How do you handle it basically? How do you store it? How do you treat it? So that was the first version. And then of course things were changing, the volumes were growing, the types and quantities of e-waste were growing, and so that's when there was a need to update it and revise it. And the second version in 2013 also looked at reuse and refurbishment, because there was a lot of companies, a lot of facilities which were classifying those waste streams that they got as reuse or refurbish, which was a loophole. So that's how the next version included reuse and refurbishing, and it extended its focus to really that extension of the lifetime of the product, and going by the waste hierarchy, really saying that okay, it's better to always use a product longer than to send it for recycling. So that was the version in 2013. And then of course since in the last 10-15 years, we've seen a massive growth in smart technology as such. There's a lot more in terms of mobile devices, a lot of different batteries and other things that have come in. So there was a need to revise it again. And this was, which was released in 2020, was really, there was a big difference between the earlier version of 2013 and of course 2008 and 2020, because it really said, okay, there are many different types of businesses that could or that need R2 certification. The market of recyclers has evolved. So how can we have a standard that is relevant to all, but is not a one size fits all? So there was this separation, as Dr. Chatterjee mentioned. There are certain core requirements which are essential, which are mandatory for every single recycler to be certified against. And then depending on their process, depending on their business, they have the ability to be certified against some of those specifications, which are the specialty processes. And I think that's the reason why I think R2 has grown in relevance, grown in popularity. The slide that Dr. Chatterjee showed in terms of its adoption is because it allows this flexibility and because it's always taking that feedback and, improving from there because of these feedback loops. So if you want to know more about this story,
प्रोडक्ट चेंज हो गया
hello,
इसमें आप क्या करो यहाँ पे जाओ और एक्सटेंड करने की जगह इसको कॉपी करो आप
hello.
कॉपी करके अगेन
Ishita, can you please check?
चेंज करो जो आपको चाहिए ये हो गया आपका
Hello.
Sorry for the disturbance, Deepali.
No worries, no worries. I use the time to switch the slide. So
It's actually not running in a slideshow, Deepali, your presentation. Still, can you try this once again, maybe?
I'll try it once again.
Because, some content is getting cut in the screen when you are placing it like
Sorry.
that.
You take the enter screen.
Is this better?
Yes, now it is okay.
Yes, now,
Okay,
now.
okay,
works.
perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So, yeah, so I think Dr. Chatterjee already mentioned this. So I think what I would just like to add is that, you do need to now have these minimum standards in place. You need to have your quality standard, the environmental standard, the health and safety standard, over which, you can get the R2 standard. It basically helps you set up your documentation process, your controls, your checks and balances. How do you, plan and how do you evidence it? And which is, the core of the standard, right? Which is the basis of any kind of auditable standard. So, so once you have these minimum requirements in place, you can adapt. You can the R2 standard allows you to then select the process requirements that are relevant. So for a refurbisher, you may not need all of them, all the appendices, all the process requirements. For a broker, definitely you don't need, certain types of processes if you're just trading. So you can, make that choice based on your process, but at least you should have all your documentation. What are your materials? Where are your inputs coming from? Where are they going to? How do you, handle focus materials, which is, the very important materials, either from an environmental perspective, from its toxicity, hazard, etc. So, so that's where you have the ability to build and improve the standard. And I think the last slide, that I thought which would be interesting to talk about is, the challenges of implementing and keeping the standard, as I said, relevant and credible. So I think on the first side that, the technology is rapidly improving or changing. You have a lot new products, you have a lot more types of materials, different types of uh, devices, new legal requirements, like you have repairability, you have recyclability, recycled content requirements all coming in. And you have also new business models where you might have a leasing model, where you might have a refurb model, product as a service, etc. All these are somehow linked to e-waste, and all these need to be kind of matched and be part of that standard. So the way that SERI works is to have this very inclusive and very comprehensive process through what Dr. Chatterjee mentioned, the technical committees and the TAC as it's called. Oops, sorry. I think I pressed something here. So yeah, so the technical advisory committees, they have a very rigorous process of, getting the comments, having feedback. It's a multi-stakeholder committee, so you have, different perspectives coming in from recyclers, from OEMs, from research, from practitioners, and civil society, of course, as well, to then inform and then adapt and improve that standard. So there's always continuous improvement. The second big challenge is the credibility. And, here, because of its popularity, I think one of the unintended consequences is that there is a lot of fake certificates, and we come across this on a very frequent basis. You have fake CBs, you have fake that certification bodies, you have fake certified recyclers. You might even have recyclers who have their certifications expired but still using the logo and certifications, etc. So to combat this, the SERI has a very strong surveillance program where you have surveillance audits and spot audits. And in case of any discrepancies and in case of any non-conformities, there are steps taken. And of course, if there are fake certificates being found, legal notices are also sent, so that there is this kind of veracity, there is kind of ability to say that, okay, if there is a certified recycler, there is an assurance of how that recycler should be and should function. So that's one part. And then the second is through really creating awareness and transparency and being very open about the information. And what Dr. Chatterjee mentioned, you have the standard, which is open, it's accessible. We have a lot of information online on various aspects of e-waste recycling. And then, of course, to verify who are recyclers that are certified. So this is all available online. It's very easy to check and confirm that these are genuine. So yeah, so that's a little bit about the history and the evolution and how SERI keeps itself relevant, and the R2 standard is really something that is is keeping itself updated and credible. With that, I'll be glad to hand it back over to you, Surabhi. I know Krati is asking or looking at the slides, probably a question or to highlight something. I don't know, have some.
Thank you.
Noted.
Thank you, Dipali. I think it was about your slide, which was not visible in the beginning. So
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so Dipali, thanks a lot for taking us through the evolution of R2 standards. And definitely, see, we have, as Dr. Chatterjee in the beginning in his presentation mentioned, all the global standards which are available in in the world. Apart from all of that, I think R2 has the biggest adoption, which is quite an eye opener here. That's why I think that you said that it's keeping itself relevant. So definitely there is something about R2 which is keeping it more relevant in today's times. So I would request all the recyclers or those who are maybe going on the path of e-waste recycling in the future, do look into all the kind of standards which are available in the market, so go accordingly. But yeah, definitely R2 is one good choice that you might have. Now moving on to our next speaker. He is actually from the grassroots level, and he is doing a lot of work in repairing and refurbishing. As Dr. Sandeep also had been speaking about that. Refurbishing or repurposing is better than recycling. So I think Matthew, our next speaker, he is already doing a lot in this area. Matthew Labari. He's the co-founder and executive director of Community Creativity for Development, and he's from South Sudan. Matthew, yes, he's here. So let me give a small introduction to him. Matthew is a dynamic self-taught repairer and advocate for digital literacy, repair activism, and sustainability. He's a thoughtful leader in the repair movement and co-founder and executive director of Community Creativity for Development. This is a Ugandan and South Sudanese-based ASK.NET Hubs, which offers a unique perspective on technology, environmental impact, and community empowerment. He explores the integration of ICT and repair with focus on educating young people, including refugee youth, women, and girls in Rhino Camp, Uganda, and internal displaced persons in Yai River County, South Sudan, on digital competence and circular economy through repair, reuse, and upcycling of electronic devices while raising awareness on digital security. So over to you, Matthew. Matthew will be talking about other recycling standards, the best practices followed in his region, and what kind of innovations that he is seeing in his region. Yes, Matthew.
Thank you, Surabi. I'm not so sure if I had correctly spelled your name.
No, that's correct. Surbhi, you can call me Surbhi. Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm so grateful to be in this forum of people who are in the circular economy or doing practice in circular economy. I'm so sorry, my background is quite also noisy, but I think you, the members or the listeners can, hear me well. And sometimes I have some problem with my network. It's not all that well. I'm currently connecting in from South Sudan. And here the network is somehow not good. So allow me to share my screen and do as presentation.
And then there is code of conduct here to here, and then section 3 here, it also says the same thing.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So I'll be talking more about the work that we have been doing in Uganda and as well in South. Maybe briefly about the background of the organization is that Community Creativity for Development, abbreviated as CC4D, was founded in 2019, but we became fully operational around 2021 in Rhino Camp. And when we founded, we were looking, we found a challenge regarding repair of electronic devices in the refugee camp, because repair was not prioritized by humanitarian organizations who are supporting the refugees. So we looked at that gap and we joined together as young youths and come up with an initiative to enable people access repair services. But of course, not knowing that how repair contributes to the circular economy until when I joined a couple of groups like the Restart Project and the Restarters Network. And then gradually we joined the Global Right to Repair movement in some of the maintenance movement, where we're able to collaborate and, learn from each other with a couple of repair practitioners in India, especially one called Purna. She is operating a repair cafe in Bangalore, and super amazing also learning from her how repair contributes to the circular economy. Later on, I happened to also join and attend workshops. There was one from linear to circular economy workshop, which was held in Rwanda, and we went and saw some amazing repair maintenance spaces. And yeah, so that is a brief history of how you're going to know how repair, reuse, and upcycling, contributes to a circular economy. So during the process, of doing the repair services, operating the repair services, we then understood properly how, of course, repair or waste management contributes to a circular economy by prolonging the life of devices. Yeah. And in our operations, we mainly had a few approaches that we do. And our approach is a community engagement, where we organize repair cafe events in the refugee camp with a few of the resources that we have. And those cafes mostly focuses on focus on hands-on skills on repair, upcycling of this electronic waste, and using a tool kit called ASCOTEC, which is it stands for Access to Skills Knowledge Tech Emergence Case, and it's a very Sorry, I got kicked out by the network issue again. And allow me to reshare my screen.
Yes. Mm.
So I was explaining about the ASCOTEC kit, which is an open case, open source tech kit, repair kit, that portable and can be carried in places where access to good tools are impossible. And our focus has been mainly on electronic devices through the trainings of young people on how they can repair mobile phones, computers, and other electronic components like lights, because those are the most common components within the settlement. And we realized that a number of people, got attracted to the activities that we do. And we went further during the process of repairing, and we were like, what happens? What do we do with the things that don't get repaired? Those ones that that we are unable to repair them because of issues of spare parts, or those ones who have reached which have reached end of life. And we tried to now to come up with the aspect of upcycling, reusing and upcycling on some of those components or repurposing them. And one of them that we learned, on the job was making of solar chargers, like small portable chargers, as you can see in one of these photos, repurposing, like getting components from other broken devices, assembling them, soldering them to make a portable solar charger and power banks, including making lights from those broken components, like some of the lights or some of the components that are broken. We could pick up some those LED lights, solder them together, and come up with some innovative ways to ensure that there's light within the communities. Also turning those unused electronic devices that are termed as waste to produce things like the cooling making of signboards. And you can see in one of these skills, in these photos, young people are trying to come up with the train on innovative ways that
I think we're facing some network issues with Matthew. Okay, in the meantime, can we, Matthew is facing some network challenges here, I think. We have some questions. I think he's disconnected. So let's till he joins back, can we take up few questions that we have from the audience, Dr. Sandeep? Matthew, okay, there's some network issue that we are facing from your end. So in the meantime, let's just take up few questions that we have from the audience. Mr. Rakesh is asking, Dr. Sandeep, would you like to take this question? That he's asking can you please share if how R2 recyclers are encouraged to support circular economy? That he means by reuse, how R2 is supporting the reuse and repair and refurbishing.
Very interesting question. I already mentioned the refurbishment is one of the important component if you are actually promoting the circular economy. So you have to use the product as long as it is having its life. Generally, if you see the EPR takes care of the material taken from the bulk consumers or different other places where the products are available and going to the recycling end without giving a chance to refurbishment. If you are talking about ICT product, mostly people are afraid of losing data or those things are one of the important things. So that is why the hard disk and the data storage device has been shredded so that this cannot be used. So basically you are starting the process of recycling. But if you are encouraging the unit is having a R2 standard, so data sanitization is one of the important part. So without destroying the product, we can actually give you the product back with its entire life left, so that there is another business model can grow. I have shown you the around 6 different categories of business models operating in India as well, but without taking much consideration of the data breaches. So, but if you see the international data, they are saying that 60% data breaching has been happening in the third party. So that is how R2 is relevant in our country. So if you are having the ITAT process with the R2 certified ITAT is actually information technology asset disposition. This is professional service. This service is available in Bangalore and other things. Voluntarily, guys are taking it, but you should have a R2 certified ITAT facility who can ensure that data has been sanitized and there is no data left out. So you are actually enhancing the life of the product, IT product. That will be a huge save of materials, and also underprivileged section of our society, you are giving those product. So this is one of the important component of the circular economy. We always prefer or encourage that recycling should be the last option, not the first option. So that is how R2 is important.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for answering this question. So Matthew, you have now few minutes with you, just 2-3 minutes to, yeah. So Matthew, would you talk about some standards that you are following there, some recycling standards that are being followed in your region, or how is it?
Yes, thank you. Some of the standards that we are following, larger, the repair movement. That is the global movement of repair, who are trying to advocate for the right repair movement, but of course, while looking at the aspect of circular economy. So we are working with the standards, and in most cases, we also do updates or give our data concerning the things that we have repaired. We upload to the global data collection system that is managed by the Restart project, and which is also globally accessible to people, or to people wherever they are, as long as they have access to internet. And this has helped us a lot to know how much we are, contributing in terms of cutting carbon emission from our community, because the system it allows one to view the data from different repair cafes around the world. So I think that has been a very good tool and a very good standard of collecting data from across the world, so that each person who is each hub or community that is trying to do repair or repurposing, they can know the amount of contributions that they have to the community or to the entire world. And this data does not only help the communities, but
There's a problem again, I think, with the Matthews network. So can we go ahead with Reza Bath now, our next speaker? He's an e-waste management expert advisor from Jakarta, Indonesia. Reza, over to you. Before you take over, let me introduce you to everyone. With over 10 years of experience in the fields of e-waste management, scrap components, data analysis, value recovery, scrap metals trading, and precious metals recovery, Reza Bath is a seasoned expert dedicated to promoting sustainability and maximizing resource utilization in the electronics recycling industry. Reza, over to you.
Thank you, Surabi. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Jakarta, Indonesia. So since I only have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead with sharing a short slide that I've made. Can you see this? Okay. Can you see the slide properly?
We can see the
Okay.
slide, but you'd have to
All
run
right.
the slideshow.
All right. One minute. Okay. So this is the company that I've built currently, because previously my expertise are in are becoming the advisors for the waste management companies. Last year, my experience for supporting one of waste management company in Indonesia. They're actually number 2 biggest in Indonesia. They have no idea of how to actually build and run an e-waste facilities, storing, segregating, and also doing the trading. So derived from there, finished the contract, and now I'm building my own company. I asked few of my friends who's actually within the area of this business too. So what we do right now is focusing not entirely on the management, but more to the trading area. So as you see, we are now collecting the retro electronic devices, components, and metal scrap trading, because I do believe that electronics is merely a device, but inside electronics there are so many precious metals, components. There are other ferrous and non-ferrous metals as well. So it needs to be one complete package, for us to do the business. But before that, now let me introduce our country to some people, perhaps who doesn't really have adequate information about Indonesia. This is Indonesia. Hello, can you hear me? I think I lost it. Okay, so this is the country of 273 million of population, where the population in Indonesia, 60% is an active population. So means when we say active population is the populations who use electronic devices such as handphones, laptops, at everyday life to do their work. So what I see, what we understand is every 3 years the electronic device goes up to date, right? Especially nowadays when everyone really depend on these electronic devices, almost like 24 hours on it, doing the work. games, etc. I see then every 2 to 3 years at volumes of can say let's say damaged device in the market. There, recorded by the Ministry of Environment. Back in 2021, there's of electronic device. So units so available. Recycling waste is less than in Indonesia. Okay, this is an opportunity for us to manage the of this material. These are scrap that we on the market. Of course, not all, but mostly we are focusing. Mostly, we're focusing on the consumers, electronic devices, entertainment, office equipment, telecommunications. So, so if this is the source of supply that we can approach in Jakarta, especially the offices, banks, residential areas, educational facilities, malls, supermarket, etc. So how do we do that? Usually we follow the auctions because every year there's one or two times the company put their ICD stuff, to release the ICD stuff. So the obsolete units. So we follow the auctions. Sometimes we also work within the multiple platforms to buy the electronics on the market. And then since 2017, I have built also a community network, and now my network we have more than 70,000 active users. So this is the community of small, medium, and large aggregators. So by years now, it become more and more active traders within this line. So this is one of the I can say one of a challenge as well for registered or formal waste management, because now it's not the waste management company that can come to offices or the market to collect. Now the challenge is like these guys are also in the market and buying the obsolete materials, right? So what they do is when they buy, they start doing dismantling. They start to process like urban recycling without following any of the recycling standards. So this is a challenge for us at some point, and it's growing now. So I mean, in my as an advisor, of course, I try my best to follow the rules as much as we can, but Indonesian, especially these traders, they found that, you know what, if I sell to waste management companies or if I do export, we get less than what is actually, the real value of this product. So this is the challenge that we face here. So recycling standard somehow, it's not really working now in Indonesia currently. I believe in India, especially Europe, USA, everyone is following the standard, but Indonesia is very, very challenging currently. So to help to get to participate more, we built our own e-commerce platform. So our clients or the market can download this, like say let's say household market is an untapped market, right? I mean, we know how much the volumes from the let's say formal market, offices and others, but not as big as the household market. So, but the things with household market, the users, they're the challenge is it's not they're not aware of how much should I sell my obsolete devices and where should I sell it to. So this is also another challenge that we're trying to face. So our hope is with this platform, so every users, especially the untapped market, the households, and any other facilities can be convenient. You know, they can collect all of their devices and they can just you know take a snap and post it anytime. With this platform that we have, we can by far we only operate in Jakarta and we can guarantee 48 hours of collecting times, and we also buying from them. We believe at the right amount. So these are the way that we trying to do to overcome these challenges currently. So yeah, I mean, how do we know what the right price to buy from the market of these obsolete devices? So during my times as an advisor in this waste management company, I have the chance to actually buy and do the assembly, right? Depopulating all the components. So by far we have collected and we have dismantled more than 1,000 units of different brands and models of especially ICT products, laptop, projectors, notebooks, CPUs, switchers, servers, etc. So this is the base of our benchmark to you know to give a right amount of value to buy from the market. So what we do is actually very simple. We buy everything as scrap, the value of a scrap. So if we know that this product or this material is completely unrepairable, what we do is we dismantle it, we depopulate the components, classified it, and then we resell it to the exporter company. That's it. And then, but before that, we always do the quality check to determine if the device can be refurbished with minor repairs or not. If it is, then we will repair it, and then the usable units. We resold to our partners, especially those who owns electronic shops, or we post it in the marketplace. Simple as that. Yeah. So basically, this is what we do, Surabi. So I know every region has their own way in doing or handling the challenges, but by far this is the best idea that we can think currently for Indonesian market, especially. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Reza.
So-
Thank you. So every region has their own challenges. India is also tackling major challenges in e-waste management. It's not just Indonesia.
You know, I think the awareness is the biggest concern now. You know, to spread the awareness. I used to find, I mean, almost every day when we buying from let's say from the market, even schools, even
private, like they said, hey, I buy the device for, let's say, a couple $100, and then you're offering me for $10. What is this, right? So every time I have to explain that when it comes about electronic products, especially ICT product, you're buying the service, right? That's it. You have to understand, that the mechanic itself, if you open your phone, you open the laptops, you find nothing there, right? I mean, it costs less than what, $15. That's it. So those are the challenges that we are encountering every day. So I think it will take times, for us to for the society to understand. So
Yes.
that's it.
The society as a whole will have to grow on these, learnings. What we are trying to, maybe from each other we are learning these things. Maybe from the global north or somebody
Right.
who's doing better than us. We should keep learning from them.
Right.
So, yeah. So,
Indeed.
thanks, Reza, for taking us, time to show us what you are doing at your end and what are the level of standards, following of standards. It's not happening. I understand these are the challenges that Indonesia or, maybe many parts of the global south is already facing. So is with India also. It's not a very rosy picture here. If we say in India, Dr. Sandeep would be the right person to, tell
Indeed.
about this. And
You know what?
yes,
After I hear from Dr. Sandeep, I was thinking I shouldn't call myself expert anymore.
he
Thank you,
is the
Dr.
master.
Very
He is
good
the
insight.
master of
Very good insight.
expert. Yes.
Cheers, cheers. Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Reza. Thanks for your time. Dr. Sandeep, we have few questions. Deepali or Dr. Sandeep, whosoever would want to take this question. We have from Agam, there is a question. So, is it mandatory for a recycler to go for all ISOs like now 9001, 14001, 4500, 1001? Because we are talking about R2 today, can it apply for if R2 suffices all the other requirements? He wants to know.
Very interesting question. For getting R2, you require all the three ISO because ISO 9001 is taking care of the quality and ISO 14001 is actually the environmental management system. And the ISO 45000 is actually the occupational health and safety. All those things will be taking care of, organizational commitment, hierarchy, who will be responsible, all those issues. That is a different thing. Now you'll be taking R2 to get outcome and effectiveness, as I mentioned. So how the materials is one process to another process, what is the documentation of that materials, how the hazardous materials you are taking care, all those things will be taken care through R2. And also one of the important thing is data sanitization. So if you are dealing with a IT product, ICT products, and you have a sensitive data, and you are trying to reuse that electronics. So one of the sanitization of data will be important, that R2 will be ensuring that. So these are the things will be because basic things on the ISO we are not revisiting. So that should be done through those three ISO. Then you can have the R2. Deepali, if you want to add more.
So happy to. I'm actually in the car, so I don't know if my sound is clear.
Yes, yes,
But I
clear.
think you covered it, well. I think the idea of having the R2 standard over the other family of standards is because those are essential for any recycler. You need to have your environmental compliances. You need to have your environmental standards. Whether it's legal requirements, whether it's air, water, waste disposal, etc., already in place. And what the R2 does is brings the focus of really specialized electronics waste recycling related or refurbishment related aspects, like what Dr. Chatterjee said, on data sanitization, data security. So that's why it's essential to have those in place so that you can implement R2 as well. Because a lot of the R2 is about making sure you have a proper plan, you have a documented, evidence of how you're following that plan, and then from that, how you can improve, which is for every standard the same.
Thank you, Dipali. Thanks a lot for your input. Thank you, Dr. Sandeep. I think that answers your question, Agam.
Another
Now,
thing should be
yes, sir.
R2 is also taking care of the downstream vendor. So that the ISO may not be that much interested. ISO is interested on a particular unit, is taking ISO certificate, and he may have some vendor or their client or supplier or their end users. But R2 will be taking care if the material is like you are a collectors. So after collection, you are sending the material to another things. So if the process is not ending in a particular site, so like you are dismantling it, that the processing of the metal processing is going to the another vendor. So you are sending the materials there. They are also not. They may be in the environmental sound method or not environmental sound method. So that also is the lookout for the R2 certificate. So they will not leave just like that. The end of life vendor is not also R2 certified. If it is not R2 certified, then they will go and visit there what they are doing. So that is meticulously they are seeing the traceability of the metals or materials as well as the data as I mentioned. So it is a comprehensive solution for standard for the electronics product, which is having the data.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Sandeep. There's one more question from Mr. Rakesh. He had asked this earlier. So he's saying that recyclers typically have KPIs that require increasing incoming waste volumes. So if so, can you share how the recyclers establish process to slow the process to assess, reuse, refurbish, or potential of incoming waste?
Incoming waste means the input feed, if I may say, that your volume or the process volume should be matched in such a way that if you are enhancing your input feed, so the process volume has to be enhanced. Otherwise, the machine will not be suitable to capable of handling that thing. And entire process, you should have your documentation. Then all the three ISO will be taking on that process. Then R2 will be applied. So R2 will see that the material incoming is not staying in certain corner, and if you are that is so, then how you are keeping your hazardous components coming out from the incoming feed. So all those things would be taken care. So it is really as per your design of the process or the requirement, you should augment the R2. So, and based on that, you can operate. And if you are enhancing your volume then you have to take care of different R2 certificate, or you can inform them. They will visit and see. So the volume of input material should be matched with your process you are doing.
Sure. So now the next question, Dr. Sandeep, is from Yaman Shang. Yaman, if you can tell us from where you are joining us, because he's asking us that if you can tell us the status of R2V, the incorporation of R2V3 and RIOS in our region, maybe in India. How is the implementation or incorporation of these standards taking place?
He is from Taipei.
Right.
Actually, if you see, R2 is not mandatory, and Dipali also mentioned it has been evolved in such a way. This is the voluntary standards, but some of the countries may make it mandatory. In our country, it is not mandatory also, but it is a best practices of any industries adopting this. You will be more sustainable company. You are promoting circular economy in that way. So RIOS is also a good standard. That is also famous in few countries. In our country, it is not there. But R2 is there. Around 50 units have taken the R2 certificate. So this is basically global best practices of entire end of life processing could be embraced if you are having a R2 certificate, I can say.
Sure. So with this, we are coming to an end of this webinar, and I hope all the participants have got a fair idea of what R2 standards are and how they are making the world easier in e-waste management. So more people should adopt these standards, and we should share this knowledge everywhere with all our networks. So this is it for today, and I would request all the members, those who are still there, to turn on their videos once so that we can click one photograph together of this webinar. And I would want to inform you that in the coming days, we'll have more webinars on e-waste management. And the next one will be planned on 17th January. So do register, keep following us on our social media handles, maybe on LinkedIn. You can subscribe to our newsletter and other platforms we are available on. So yes, we are ready. Yes. Let me just click one photograph of all of us together. Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone. It was a lovely evening with you all. We had a very insightful session with all the participants here. Good questions that we had today. I think we were able to clear all the doubts. If you still have some doubts, you can write to me on surabhi@icce.com, or for any other queries you want to reach out to me, my ID is surabhi@icce.com. Thank you. Thanks a lot for this great session. We look forward to having you on our next webinars. Keep in touch. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Surabhi, for
Bye.
amazing moderation and for hosting this. So yeah, looking forward to the next webinar soon. Okay,
Surabhi.
thanks everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks,
Thank you,
Vitali.
everyone.
Thanks, Surabhi.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.